There's no mistaking the surroundings of Daytona International Speedway. A little bit of dampness in the air. It was much wetter yesterday for the first round of 2022 for the Mazda MX-5 Challenge. The Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Challenge were back in the IMSA paddock for the first time this time last year and set a very high bar. We're already trying to extend that kind of entertainment from yesterday. This now Destination Series has increased its number of drivers, and they'll be doing battle on the infield road course as well as on the high banks of Daytona. 3.5 miles around, and that infield section far trickier than it looks on a circuit map. There's a little nuances to some of those corners, and then of course the high speed down to the heavy braking at the bus stop on the back straight. The exit from there really important, because that will determine your speed all the way through Speedway 3 and 4 and through the tri-oval. And once again yesterday we had a blanket finish. Slightly overcast skies, but a drier track than we had yesterday for the opening round of this season. Shea Adams alongside me, John Hindorf. Shea with so much experience of the Le Mans pit lane and IMSA competition. She'll be helping me call the action as she did last year. Thank you for joining us. We've got some big news. We'll go through the grid in a moment as the cars are rolling out on a formation lap. Yesterday we started in very wet weather indeed, behind the safety car with an extra formation lap because of the changing conditions, and it was the usual dogfight right the way through the field. Starting grid for today sees the pole position on the Mazda starting grid for Connor Zilic. Now, Connor Zilic is new to this championship. It was his third race in the championship yesterday, and he led. He led convincingly, and he pushed the regulars and the more experienced drivers in this category very hard indeed. Watch out for that red car from pole position. Woody Hyman, second fastest in his second lap in qualifying in this session earlier this week. He had a difficult time yesterday in very tricky conditions. Couple of spins for Woody, and he was pushed into one of those as well. Sam Paley with the new colour scheme in the number 28 car. He was battling in the rookie category last year. He's going to be one of the main protagonists this year at the front of the field. Behind them, Starb, Thomas, Carter, Gonzalez. Great run from Tyler Gonzalez yesterday to the victory right on the final run to the line. Chris Nunes had a good race yesterday as well in the red number 32. Fastnacht Altman, another good qualifying from Jensen Altman. That's where he slightly needed to improve from last year. He had no luck again yesterday. Remember, a year ago he had an incident here as well. He'll be trying to change his look today. Outside the top 10 there are still some big names, and right at the back in 31st position, Celine Roland, who after the checkered flag yesterday hit the wall very hard in his primary car. There is a spare, he has used it, just checking to make sure that it is in the colours of his sponsor this year. Shea Adam?
In the colors that we are used to seeing, and it is not in the puzzle piece color as it was last year. Celine Roland in the backup car for Hickson Motorsport. It is a dark gray with some green accents on it, but his primary sponsor this year is the Austin Hatcher Foundation. And even though it's not on the side of the car today, it is very much in our hearts and minds, as we know that that is who he is racing for this year. Starting 31st, let's see how far up the field Celine Roland can get. They're side by side, Woody Hyman and David Staub. Best ever qualifying effort for the two guys on the outside for the start of this race.
Yeah, now is that going to give them a run down into turn one? Connor Zilic in the red and white and black 72 car was very fond of the high line in difficult conditions. Right at the back in that dark grey and highlighter yellow car is Celine Roland. What a season he had last year. He's going to have to turn on the magic here. Disappointed not to get the win yesterday. Pipped on the line. but that has to be put behind him now. The green flag is in the air. Round 2, the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup for 2022 is underway. Great start from the low side, the pole sitter side. Jared Thomas in the silver car, trying to make a move down the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide for a moment. That's a lot slipperier than it looks from our vantage point. Thomas up to second. Zilic gets a perfect start from pole position. Sam Paley slips back in the blue car. So used to seeing him last year in the plain black car. Some new liveries for us all to get used to. Tyler Gonzalez shuffled back down the back in the bright orange, white and black Copeland number 51 cars at the International Horseshoe for the first time. Little bit of bumping and boring. They'll get away with that on the first lap, but not on the banking. No bump drafting. Very clear from race control.
I've just had confirmation too. It is sprinkling out there. Every one of our competitors is on slicks. There's a big one, and Jensen Altzman is off, as well as the 21. That is coming through the kink. They tried to go 3 wide. It's not a spot where you can even go 2 wide. Altzman has broken right front suspension. His wheel is pointing in completely the wrong direction. Also caught up there was Bruno Carniero, who had a really good and quiet run to the checkered flag yesterday. Celine Roland is a man on fuego. He is climbing his way already halfway up the field as we are halfway around lap number 1. Our leader, Connor Zilic, we said that a lot yesterday. In second is Jared Thomas in the 96 silver with yellow roll cage. Bit of bumping between the two, but there is substantial damage from Sam Paley as well. He got caught up going side by side through turn number 1. He has right front bodywork that is rubbing, and that car will need a visit to the pit lane. The contact was again, Altzman was just a passenger there. It was Paley who got into Altzman, but Paley got into Altzman because Carter got into Paley.
Yeah, and on the outside, the number 21, the Bruno Carniero Rodizo grill car, again, just a bystander there. It's very wet on the inside, on the infield, and Jensen Altzman has done damage to the steering arm on the right front. We've stayed green for the moment, and JTR, that is Jared Thomas. Easy to spot his car. Silver with the yellow painted roll hoop. He's just having to tap the brakes with his left foot there to keep him out the back. That's the effect of driving in a vacuum. It's not the vacuum of space, I give you, but he's driving in the hole in the air that's been punched by Connor Zilic, and his 2-litre engine is propelling him forward. Again, the wide line from Zilic, and this time it doesn't work. Tyler Gonzalez goes off very wide indeed, and I think that's Sam Paley again that's alongside him there, the number 28 car. Yes, it was. 82 right in the middle of that as well. Another one of the blue cars that are out there. Blue, very popular colour this year. And that is Woody Hyman, who started right at the front of the field.
Paley has made it back into the pit lane. Altzman has made it to a safe position, so we are staying green as the start is under review. Somebody's gone sliding off into the infield once again. It's a white car. I can't see the number from here, but they've gone off in a very big way, managing to recover. Oh, no, it's Aaron Johnson in the 24 Future Star Racing car. Aaron, who had a pretty quiet race yesterday. Did he get help from Tyler Gonzalez? Well, they tried going side by side through the kink. There was contact. Yes, John Sam just winding up the unlucky victim.
Sam Paley's not in the pits. He's still out there.
No, he's right there behind the pillar of where you're looking. Car number 15 with the right front damage. That car has the front right wheel off. Out on track though, Chris Noons and Jared Thomas.
Is 15 is Aidan Faster.
Oh, excuse me.
28, Sam Paley is still out on the track. He was. I thought, funny enough, I thought, how's he got around that quickly? Because I just saw him going around the outside of somebody at turn 1. All right, let's put that one aside and we'll move on. 41 minutes to go in this one, and there is Sam Paley coming out of the bus stop, and right behind him, Gresham Wagner in another new coloured car. So at the front, Jared Thomas has nipped ahead using that draft. It's Noons in second. Opalski is in third. New name for us for this season, Shea.
Max Opalski, another one of those kids with a very good karting background. He's run with the team before. He did some testing with them. They were so impressed that they offered the young Colorado kid a ride with them under the Copeland Motorsports banner. He's proving to be quite formidable so far. Yesterday, 8th in his first race. No, Michael Carter is into the wall hard.
In a big way, up on the high side. Both sides of his number 08 Mazda.
That'll be a
Carter
caution.
Racing Enterprises up in the wall. Both sides at the front of that car is damaged. Now, what happened there? Did he get a little touch? He is right underneath us, and it's gone full course yellow.
Yep.
Has to. No choice about that one. Everybody checking up, coming out of the International Horseshoe. And Jared Thomas actually has already overtaken the safety car, but he'll drop back in behind as into the pit lane now comes.
That is Opalski.
It is Opalski, yeah.
Curse of the commentator. Sorry, Max.
So he might have been involved there. A little bit of, just a little wiggle on the yellow lines for the 08 of Michael Carter. That's a big impact, but the FIA safety cage doing its job. Driver sits on the left-hand side, of course. The coach's corner car needs a little tender love and affection. Just coming into the tri-oval. Yeah.
Yep.
Left rear. BF Goodrich Racing Slick on the yellow line. And at that point, Michael was on the brakes really, really quickly.
Yep.
But at that point, frankly, he was a passenger. You were talking about a foot or 18 inches, aren't we? That's all.
And for Michael Carter, the other thing, too, is they're all on the slick BF Goodrich tires. So if you put a wheel, even the slightest little finger of a wheel onto that yellow line, it's so slippery, it's going to catch and like a magnet pivot you unintentionally up into the wall. That's what happened with Michael Carter.
Full course yellow, 38.5 minutes ago. Carter being attended to by the AMR safety team, part of the IMSA series that follow us right the way around the country. And the good news is that without very much assistance at all, Michael is, in fact, with no assistance at all, Michael, who's already taken his gloves off, is out of the car. Unfastens his hands device. That will have played its part there as well in quite a violent impact to the safer barrier. That will have also have played its part. Now, he's not very happy, and he's dropped something from his helmet there as well. Whether that was part of his earpiece, I'm not sure, but I'm sure that'll get picked up. Standard procedure to go back to the infield care centre after an incident like that, and the cleanup will begin. Gives us an opportunity to talk about what's going on at the front of the field, where Jared Thomas is leading in the silver 96 from Chris Noons in second place in the red and white 32. Then Connor Zilic in the red, white and black number 72. 43, Joey Atanasio. Tyler Gonzalez in the 51 car. That's the bright orange and green, orange and white car rather. Now, he is not in that picture. He's dropped a further position back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Sam Paley's not in there as well. Gresham Wagner's moved up. So let's see what happens when they go across the line here.
But you know who is in the picture?
And the timing resets. Go ahead, Shea.
Celine Roland is in the picture now. He's up to P6 after starting P30.
31.
30. We did not have Rossi Lee start the race again today, but that is a very impressive drive up through the field. We've got Michael Carter obviously not going to be continuing in this race. Aiden Fastnot, after that issue earlier on, and again, I apologize to Sam Paley and frightening his family for that. Aiden is back out on track in the 15. It's tricky. He ran a black car all last year, did Sam Paley, changed livery, and now my mind is still thinking he's in a black car. We've got Max Opalski back out of the pit lane once again, so we're only down 2 cars thus far. Jensen Altman still out on course at turn 6, but in a safe position.
Delighted to say that once again we're joined by Mo Murray from Mazda Motorsports. The Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Challenge under full course yellow. You're not missing any of the action. Nasty looking accident there for Michael Carter, very experienced driver there more, but just underlining this may be a relatively cost-effective way to go motor racing in terms of the equipment, but no expense spared as far as safety is concerned.
No, that's true. You know, the guys at Fliss Performance who build these cars, they cut no corners at all in terms of the safety of the car, FIA spec roll cage, the fire suppression system, the belts, all that is as good as it can possibly be. I had the great pleasure of running in the parade lap before the start of this race.
Oh, envy.
In that Mazda 630. And I can tell you, it's slippy out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That car was not stuck to the ground as much as we would have liked it to be, but the drizzle was starting to come down right at the start of this race, and I'm sure that played a factor in Michael's accident.
And that's on grooved street tyres, not on slick BF Goodridges.
Yeah.
Great tyres, but it's quite chilly here. The MX-5 is a great car. Had one back in the UK recently and gave it a good run back up to the northeast. And there's still the soul of a Mazda in it. You still feel that even for a crossover of that size, it's still it's not an MX-5, but you get the feeling that, you know, it's an MX-5 big brother.
It has the soul of a sports car.
It certainly does.
That's for sure. You mentioned that, you know, Michael, this is not a good day for Michael. Michael's a championship contender too.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, almost won the title last year as a former champion, as a former Rookie of the Year, as a scholarship winner. This coming here, the second race of the year out of 14, and having a DNF is not going to help his championship chances.
The car itself, though, has stood up pretty well. That will repair. I think we'll see that back. It was good to see Celine Roland manage to get in the spare car and is well up the field to 7th position from 30th on the start. You mentioned Fliss Performance. They're not too far away from where we're standing here at Daytona. How much work actually goes into it, and how long does it take from a street spec car coming into the country from Japan to then being able to fire it off to Shea and Hindy Motorsport so that we can go racing?
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, do you like that?
So
John and Shea, not Dan and Shea, John and Shea.
Okay.
That's a great question, and I talked to one of the Fliss brothers this morning and told me that they have just completed this week car number 253 since this program started. Now, they didn't build them all. They Long Road Racing built the first batch, but for the last 2 years, it's all been Fliss Performance. They have just completed car number 253. So that's a lot of Mazda MX-5 Cup cars out there. So what happens is the boats come stock on the from Japan, from Hiroshima in Japan into Jacksonville. The cars rather come in on the boat. They get moved to Fliss. Fliss removes about 250 parts from the car. Everything, including the sound deadening carpet that's underneath the car, and the joint sealer, and all the things that you don't even see. And they pull a lot of those, about 250 of those parts out, and they replace them with about 250 parts more racing specific. So the roll cage, the fire suppression system, the dampers from Multimatic, the DSSV dampers, which are really tricked.
They've really tricked.
The structural bracing, the radiators, the Sative sequential gearbox, the tires, the brakes, the wheels, all that kind of stuff, right? And when they get the car completed, it is the only thing you have to buy additionally to go racing is fuel and a seat. We don't know how big each driver is going to be, so we don't provide a seat. So drivers put their own seat in, or their whatever seat fits them, and put fuel in, and you push the button, you are ready to go. It's as complete a race car as you can buy.
On the button.
On the button. Yeah.
And of course, with the reliability of the proven street car engine, which is not touched, and that's key, isn't it?
Key point right there. The engines are sealed and stock. So it's the 181 horsepower engine that's available in every Mazda MX-5 that's sold around the country, around the world. 181 horsepower engine, and as you mentioned, they're sealed, so there is no monkey business going on. There's nobody getting in and tampering with them, because part of the strong tech support that comes with being sanctioned by IMSA is very clever people looking at the cars after each session, after each race. And that's been part of the magic of this series, the parity that these cars have. We have often said when we've talked in years past that you could take the driver who wins a race and put him in the car that finished last, and you wouldn't affect the results, because the cars are all absolutely identical. The purpose of that, or the magic of that, is it becomes truly a driver's championship. It's really about the driving, and for Mazda, a brand that celebrates the love for driving, and the joy of driving. That's very important to us, that that you can't buy your way to the front in this championship. The cars are all absolutely identical, and it comes down to the amount of skill and determination that each driver brings.
I've had a very close-up look of one of these cars, and am I right in saying that there's door bars on either side? So if you wanted to put a passenger seat in and take a sponsor or a family member on a track day or something like that, you could, and they'd be just as well protected as the driver? Yes,
that's correct. We build it in that way. There are door bars either side. There's also, for the drivers, obviously there's netting either side, and there's the kind of protections that most people will use them for. Obviously not a street legal car. And we would certainly not recommend anybody gets in one without a helmet, because once you get into a car with a roll cage, the roll cage becomes something you can bash your noggin on, and so wearing a helmet becomes very important, as is all the other safety equipment. But yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful piece of equipment. I know you've had time in one. I've had time in one. They're so much fun to drive. And we need to get Shay in.
I still had an H-pattern box in the one that I drove. It wasn't the sequential, so they didn't have the SADEV. I don't think it would have made any difference to how poor I was in the car. Now, all of that then, on the button, a factory sanctioned series with a big prize fund at the end, $250,000 for, you know, and more
cash money
going into that year on year. So how much is the car?
So the car, all told, with you know, when you're ready, put it in with the dash system and everything you need, it's right about $90K. Right now, that's a complete
dollars.
Ready.
That's dollars for those who are further
US dollars. $90,000 US. Complete track ready race car. Right. That's unprecedented in this business.
Are you sure that's right, Mo? I mean, are you sure that covers all the work that's gone into it?
Yeah, and that's the car. So now you need a team. You need to go racing. We have 7 weekends, all double headers, again based on keeping costs down, because travel is a big expense for race teams. So we have a 14 race championship, but it's 7 weekends, and you can run a season for probably 150. Remember, you don't have to replace the car each year.
Yeah.
The car will last 3-4 years. So yeah, you can run a season for about 150K. And remember what I just said. There aren't rich teams at the front and poor teams at the back, because the cars are all absolutely identical. So it's a very, very cost-effective way of going racing. And that's why it's evolved in the last few years to being a destination championship. We see teams and drivers staying in the series year after year, even after they win the championship. Traditionally, people win a championship, they want to move on, they want to progress. People are staying here. Michael Carter's a great example. Jared Thomas is a scholarship winner who took his scholarship and turned it into team ownership. So it's not just for drivers. Teams are actually turning this into a viable business. And it's you know, it checks all the boxes in terms of entertainment, that's for sure. We saw that last night.
Well, we saw it all through last year. I think if we added up all the winning margins, it was
less than 8 seconds.
Yeah, it was a handful of seconds. Less than 8 seconds. That was first to second through all of the rounds last year. Not through one round, ladies and gentlemen, through all of the rounds. We're still under full course yellow here. Once again, our teams have done a fantastic job on the clear up, and we've got Michael Carter's car out of the way. We'll be going green shortly.
I was just going to say, 2 of those races didn't add up to 1/100th of a second.
I know. It was mad. When you think of Sebring and the Lightning McQueen finish, and here for the first round, I mean,
and Road America, 8 1,000ths of a second.
1,000th of a second.
It's only Celine Roland's victory at St. Petersburg that was more than 2 seconds. Everything else was under 2 seconds for margin of victory.
Yeah, we need to have a word with him about that. About, just backing off at the line a little bit.
I do applaud him for trying to make up for that by starting at the back today and working his way through the field. He's up into 7th place already. In a car that he didn't start the weekend. Great to have you back for another season. It was fabulous to see the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5s back on the IMSA ticket last year and back in the paddock. It's great to have you back again this year. Mo, thanks for spending some time with us. You're welcome, and it's part of being back, and what's so great about it is we get to work with you guys and the IMSA race control folks, IMSA radio, the AMR safety team, all the good things that come with being as a part of this IMSA paddock. It just makes for a great series.
There'll be people watching and listening all the way around the world, because this is free, unblocked coverage going out everywhere. and we know how many people love this. How do people find out more? So we've talked about the car a lot. What's the website address?
So website is MX5Cup.com. That's the series website. There's also information on MazdaMotorsports.com, and the most immediate way to follow us is on our social media channels. We have Mazda Motorsports social media channels, either Mazda Motorsports or Mazda Racing, depending on the platform. And then the series MX5 Cup has their own social channel. So, and all these drivers, they're young, progressive kids with their own social channels. So.
Safety car has cleared away after very good hard work from the recovery teams and our marshals, dragging Michael Carter's 08 car first of all down to the bottom of the tri-oval so they could put it on the flatbed. That's been cleared away, and it will be Jared Thomas who brings us back to green flag with spot on 25 minutes to go. Chris Noons sticking to the back of the leader as they head down towards turn one. Connor Zilic, he likes to go the long way around, but he's down below the yellow line this time. Round the outside for Gresham Wagner. Tyler Gonzalez coming through there as well in the orange car, and Wagner will go to second position. Looks like a little bit of a block in front of Gonzalez. That was a brilliant run by the black, green and yellow car. Gresham Wagner coming from so far back. He was fifth across the line. He'll go into the International Horseshoe at the restart in second position. Zilic somehow managing to hold on to his third place, but he's got different people around him. Where's Chris Noons got to? He's dropped back a little bit as well. And I'm also looking at Celine Roland up from 30th position after the crash post the checkered flag yesterday. He was back up to 7th on the restart, but he's trying to work his way through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think he's still around about 7th or 8th at the moment. Zilic now has dropped back. Noons is into third position. 32 car was in second, now in third. Sam Pearley getting back in there in the blue car in the mix as well, the number 28. 87, by the way, is Celine Roland. That's the grey car with the greeny yellow flashes on it. Leaders are pulling away. Jared Thomas pulls a decent run on the banking with Gresham Wagner. No bump drafting allowed, but they've got away. They've got away from the chasing pack.
They are bump drafting, though, and Gresham Wagner giving a big thump to the back of Jared Thomas's bumper. Now, Jared will be a little bit hesitant after what happened yesterday at the bus stop, where he got hit from behind and then knocked off the track, but Gresham a bit too far back for that right now, as there is chaos behind, and we've got, is that Matthew Dirks in the 76?
It is, and there's damage to that front of that car, and some flame underneath. The white car involved in that as well. This is going to be a full course yellow. It's on the back stretch, running into the bus stop.
John Jodoin involved in there as well, I believe. One of the Macumbi McAleer cars, that would be number 39. That was quite a bit of chaos.
I think it's the 69 car that's the other car involved.
Anthony McIntosh.
Correct. They were trying to go either side, and the BF Goodrich tyres catching each other. Lick of flame underneath the Dex car. He was a passenger at that point with the left front steering broken. The camber, and be able to see this from the front on, the camber of the tyres makes the tyres stick out, and then the slightest touch, and it was the slightest touch that took that number 69 right across the front of everyone else, and it looks awful. But once again, that fire suppression system for Andy McIntosh and the Dex car also in there. And this is such close racing, and it's so fast. The number 21 of Bruno Caniero. Good bit of avoidance as well by the drivers behind, including the number 88, who was right in there for Sean Varwick. Well, that's going to make the highlights reel.
Oof. And at the front of all that was Glenn McGee, who managed to drive away and then clearly saw out of the corner of his eye that there was a bit of orange and slowed down, which was very heads-up driving by the young Tampa man.
Once again, the MR safety crew brought into action. The good news is everyone is talking and moving and in
That's Matthew Dirks getting
Matthew Dirks
out
of the car. That's
McCumbin
good news.
Mackler. I've been warned about him, John. I've been warned he's a bit of a superstar in the waiting. Yesterday's race did not go particularly well for the 2019 Teen Mazda Challenge champion. He finished 26th in yesterday's race. It's going to be a DNF for today's race, but glad to see that he is out of the car on his own aid. He pulls his cell phone out of his pocket, so he'll be able to call the team and let them know that he's okay.
Gonna be home late. Sorry about that.
Anthony McIntosh being extracted from the car on the other side because the driver's side door pressed up against the side of the wall. He gives the thumbs up to the medical. Glad to see that the Wisconsin native is okay and walking away, taking off his gloves. Anthony McIntosh ran a few races with us last year, John.
The rain drops have dissipated. On the infield, another car with the renowned livery on the side.
John
Dwayne, and he's out as well. That's good. So, of the 3 cars that have come to rest, everybody has got out of the car. Cell phone. Yeah.
Oh, my mom's calling.
Yeah. You all right? Yeah, no, I'm fine, Mum. Oh, it's a
selfie.
Well, we were talking earlier on about how heads up these guys are in their social media. That's the selfie. That in the background, the slightly charred car. Matthew Dirks getting that one on the socials as quick as possible.
I'm not sure if Aaron Seacole will be proud of him or not for that little bit of social media.
I thought he was going to make a phone call. Maybe he was calling in a conciliatory pizza or something like that. Well, it's close running. These things are going to happen.
I do have some updated information from race control. Before the incident happened, they were looking at what happened between Tyler Gonzalez, yesterday's race winner, and Aaron Johnson, where Johnson went off at the kink. It has been deemed that Gonzalez was at fault for Johnson going off the track. It's a drive-through penalty for him. He's serving it now, but you're not allowed to serve them under a yellow. So I'm imagining he's going to have to come back when we go to green.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we're talking a game of inches here. Dirks in the 76 car, the fighter jet car, is at the head of the crew there as Matthew goes down the inside. They go back past the 39, John Dodwin, and it's at that point that I think the rear wheel of Anthony's car just rides up and then spins him across in front of Matthew. And at that point, well, the front of Matthew's car is destroyed. There's flame from the engine compartment, which the onboard fire suppression system snuffed out very quickly indeed. And we're going to need a couple of rollbacks for that. More Murray, Mazda Motorsports with us. Well, spectacular, but not in the way we want to see. But great news again, more that the drivers are out of the car. All 3 drivers of the cars that came to rest there out under their own power and heading off to the infield care centre for the checkup.
Yeah, and Matthew Dirks, it's unfortunate for him. He's a very talented young driver. He's just a kid, still in his teens, from Colorado. And he came to our shootout a couple of years ago and was very, very impressive with his speed in the car. He didn't win the shootout, but he came afterwards and asked some of us, and this is part of the support that Mazda provides these young drivers. He said, what can I do to be better? What can I do to improve my game? And one of the areas we focused on, because he was just a kid, he was in his mid-teens at the time, we said, you need to be better at public speaking. You need to be a little more assertive in your personality and put yourself out there a bit more. So he took that to heart and actually went out and took public speaking classes and you know, joined a debate team in school and did all the right things. And here he is back now a couple of years later, and he's a much more mature young man. He's still only a kid, but he's much more mature. He's easy to talk to. He's actually quite fun around the paddock, and the talent in the car hasn't gone anywhere. So when you see him taking a selfie after an incident like that, that's cultural. That's what that generation do. John, I don't recall ever seeing you take a selfie, especially after an incident like that.
No, I wouldn't do that. It was all on video, Mo, as you well know. And I'm sure you've got it all stacked away somewhere for the future. Do we know what Matt's Insta is so that we can get that pulled up from the guy?
I'll get it from Aaron.
I bet you can find that out, because I'd love to see that picture that he's just shot. And we've got a few moments. Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 for 2022. With BF Goodrich tyres under our second full course yellow. Safety car is out. Clear up down at the bus stop. Shea Adam, John Hindhoff, Mo Murray from Mazda Motorsports.
It's at Dirks, DIRKS _motorsports.
Right.
So we'll have to see when the selfie does get posted. It's not there yet. Maybe he doesn't have the 5G on that side. It's too close to the airport.
Yeah, maybe
but
not.
when you were saying he's done things, I thought you were going to say he joined the theater group and now he's head and fiddler on the roof or something of that sort.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Especially, I wouldn't be surprised by that in anyone in this field. It's an eclectic group of young men and women. There's a Laura Hayes is in the race. She's one of our scholarship winners and is learning her way in. This is her first weekend in an MX-5 Cup car, and she's learning her way in. But yeah, what a great group of drivers we have in this series.
And she's my age, so there's hope for me yet.
Well,
she's born in 1990, so.
You're not supposed to say those things on air.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're proud of it for Thunder Bunny Racing, and I love their setup. It's a wonderful rig that they've got over in the paddock. It looks so professional over there this year.
Yep.
It's not as many pop-up tents as it used to be in the past.
You couldn't have anything to do with anything talking about rabbits. You have a morbid fear of rabbits.
I know.
So that's a race team you could never race for.
I can't go into their trailer. I can't look at the stickers all around it, but I can power on through.
Okay.
It's okay.
Seems reasonable.
We like Laura, just not the name. It's fine.
It's a good team. They put together a good effort this year already. Well, the easier of the three to be recovered was that blue number 39 for John Joe Dwayne, Macumbi Macaulay Racing. It's not been a good day for those guys. The bright yellow Riley Mazda, number 31, is also damaged on the right-hand side underneath the door. That sill area for Copeland Motorsports and Jameson Riley. That might fall off if he wiggles around a bit. We saw that yesterday with Connor Zilic, didn't we? He managed to avoid a black and orange mechanical flag.
If he runs over a curb on the right angle, it should just pop right off.
It's hanging on by one fastening, isn't it?
Yeah,
that sill guard.
It is.
At the front, it's Jared Thomas. Then it's the number 5 car, Wagner, 43 at Joey Atanasio.
And Joey is someone who is hoping that the race does not restart. He wants to come home with the trophy from this one. Last year, he only raced on 2 race weekends, meaning 4 races total, Daytona and Sebring. And if you're going to pick tracks, those aren't bad ones to race at. 10th in the first race, 15th in the second. He's running 3rd right now, best of the rookies, and looking for the full season rookie championship because he wants that $80,000 at the end of the year. This certainly would help.
Just finishing up the recovery on the back straight. Mention of money there. Sometimes money is a little bit of a dirty word in motor racing. More in the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Challenge, you encourage the talk about money because there's money going in the opposite direction to where it normally goes in motorsport. People pay a lot of their hard-earned to go and enjoy their passion. Here, there's a decent chance of them getting a fair chunk of that back.
Yeah, there's a significant prize purse. It's over $500,000. The winner, as you mentioned, the championship winner gets $250,000. Championship prize money, real dollars, pay down to 10th place. Rookie of the year gets $80,000. And then on top of that, there's 3 scholarships. There's a $110,000 scholarship for the winner of our shootout. There's a second place scholarship in the shootout. And then there's a fastest female shootout participant that Laura Hayes benefited from this year. And that's another scholarship. So yes, there's plenty of money going into this, but and you know, money can be a dirty word. It can be a sort of a crass thing to talk about. But for Mazda, it's not specifically the dollars. It's the fact that we have the ability to enable these young drivers to chase their dream. Motorsports can be a tough place to try and go chase your dreams in normal circumstances. What we believe our role here is to open the door a little bit and enrich these kids' lives by letting them go out there and try to be a professional or on the brink of professional racing driver as best they can.
So that's a significant investment, and I'll use that word advisedly, by Mazda into this series. $500,000 a year. That's going to keep coming. That's why this is a destination series. People come here, they realise with that dollar prize fund paying down to 10th position that they can significantly reduce their running costs, put money towards something else, start their own team, as Mo was talking about earlier on. That's a choice that Mazda have to make in their motorsport budget world, and it's not an insignificant amount of money. You could be putting that elsewhere. You're happy with what you see here and what you get back for it, I suppose, as well, and the smiles that it provides.
Totally, completely happy with this. And when you pair this with our grassroots, our ubiquitous position in grassroots racing, where more Mazdas are road raced on any given weekend than any other brand here in the US, that's what really defines our approach to this motorsports. I had a talk recently with somebody, and they asked me about this exact situation. And my comment to them was, when a new baby takes their first step, right? Dads, because we all carry a video camera in our pocket now, we videotape that and we post it all over the place and we tell everybody about it. But yet, walking is something we all take for granted. 99% of us can walk and not even think about it. For that baby and that dad, that's the most important thing in the world to them. We look at this series, a kid qualifies for their first SCCA runoffs or their first national championship at NASA. Or in this case, if you look at the car in P10, David Staub qualified in 4th place for this. He's been in this series for a few years now, and he's just the loveliest guy, lovely family, come to all the races. For him to get a top 10 or to get a good result here, that's just like that baby taking their first step for us. We want to celebrate that. We want to be part of that moment in his life.
Is that why I pace around in the booth like an expecting father every time we do this?
Exactly.
It must be. We're going to go back to green this time around. For the moment, Mo, thanks very much indeed. Mo Murray from Mazda Motorsports. Incident responsibility assessed on Tyler Gonzalez for the earlier incident, and that will bring him down for a drive-through. He's been through the pit lane already, but that did not satisfy race control because he was under full course yellow, and we're under 9 minutes to go. The safety car once again has left the field under control of the leader. This time it's Jared Thomas who'll bring them back to green. It's going to be about 8.5 minutes. 8.5 minutes to find out who wins round 2 of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup for 2022. Gresham Wagner, surely a championship hopeful favourite, got to be. Joey Atanasio in 3rd, then Chris Noon, Sam Paley in the blue, 28. Connor Zilic, watch him round turn 1. Will he go to his trademark outside move in the red number 72? We're back underway again. It's a straight line down towards turn 1. Now they start to fan out. Here comes Celine Roland, that car moving around. Oh, that was Zilic gone wide. Zilic lost it in the middle in the 72, and through goes Celine Roland. Second different livery he's run this weekend, and neither of them the one we're used to from last year. Thank you. At the front of the field, Jared Thomas leads. Wagner still in second. Gresham Wagner looking very racy indeed. We had seen last year drivers working together, trying to break down the lead pack so they had a better chance of a podium. With 7.5 minutes to go, that's going to give us something in the region of 2 or 3 laps. Oh, we've got another incident. That's at the International Horseshoe, Shea.
That's Max Opalski, who's already had one issue earlier today, and Laura Hayes in the 22 Thunder Bunny Racing car. See, we shouldn't have talked about her, curse to the commentator. Sorry, Laura. Full course caution is back out. Opalski with the left front in the tires. Hayes, the left front wheel missing from the car.
Yeah, that's another side-by-side incident. Opalski moving around in the car. Windscreen wipers knocked on in the impact. I think he might have been winded, but he's already taken the steering wheel off. Removable steering wheel, which is custom made for these cars. One of those 250 parts that are added back on by Fliss Performance.
He might have just gotten some dirt in his eyes there, John, because he had his helmet visor cracked, and there is quite a bit of mud in that area.
Well, the good news again is that both drivers are moving around. It's Laura, yeah, Laura's got the steering wheel off. Left front damage to the 22 car, the Thunder Bunny Racing car. And, oh good, out. Well done. The Copeland car, I think actually possibly not as badly damaged as it may look. They've got a wee bit of time before the next rounds of the championship. Laura's out as well. Good, excellent. Disappointment and a shake of the head from Laura Hayes as she walks away, as she saw the extent of the damage to the front. Gives us an opportunity with just 6 minutes left in this race more to talk about the rest of the season. You mentioned all double headers and some cracking venues and events for the championship again this year.
Yep, we leave here with 2 great races. We'll come to the end of this one in 5.5 minutes. We go from here to St. Pete on the streets of St. Petersburg with IndyCar at the end of February.
And that was a barnstorming pair of races last year.
Yeah, and we're really looking forward to that. Later on in the year, we will race at VIR, another incredible racetrack, which we're very much looking forward to. We will go to Watkins Glen on the weekend of the 6 hours of the Glen with IMSA. We will go to Mid-Ohio. One event we're really looking forward to is we're going back to Road America, where we've been before, but this time we're going back on the NASCAR weekend.
Really?
And that'll open a whole new audience to us, because you know how engaged the IMSA audience is when these cars are on the racetrack. Now we're looking forward to showing this great product to the NASCAR audience, especially around one of the great iconic road race tracks like Road America. We're very much looking forward to going there. And then, just like last year, the season will finish at Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta in Georgia in the middle of October, and we will then crown another champion. So Gresham, you mentioned, championship contender for sure, last year's champion. As far as I recall, and somebody may correct me here, but in my recollection, there has never been a repeat champion in this series.
No one has defended the championship.
Speaks to the parity in the series, but it's a great opportunity for Gresham Wagner to break that mold. And
he started pretty strongly. He sits in second at the moment. We just heard the voice of Mo Murray there. I'm already thinking about the charge up the hill and the drafting, because it's a long run out the final corner at Road America, and it's uphill, so the draft will be even more important to get to the line. We're going to have another blanket finish again there, aren't we?
Yeah,
2 races.
You recall last year we had, in one of the races, we had an 8/1000th of a second winning margin at Road America because of exactly what you just talked about. 3 or 4 cars come off of that reasonably fast last corner, and they climb the hill together, and whoever pulls out and gets the timing of pulling out of the draft right is able to get to the finish line first. What a fantastic racetrack to visit.
And the draft, the slipstream, is actually quite substantial on these cars, because they're open topped and because the roll cage is in the airflow. You really feel it and see it on the faster circuits.
Yeah.
Road Atlanta down the back straight, same thing. Exactly.
They make a pretty decent hole in the air, and the good drivers have figured that out, and they know that's why multi-car teams can play that game. They can get together, and that's where this bump drafting thing comes from. The series is trying to manage that, because 2 cars will go quicker than one, and 3 cars will go quicker than 2, and so the draft becomes very important at racetracks where it's evident.
I'm just wondering if the safety car lights, the Mazda MX-5 that we're using as our safety car lights, are going to go off.
No, I don't think so.
We've still got safety vehicles on the edge of the circuit, on the exit of the International Horseshoe.
Given the last lap behind the safety car was 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and the safety crew is still out.
They're out the way.
No, the safety truck is still parked laterally across the track, and by now the safety car lights would have had to go out and the safety car pull away. It hasn't done that. I think this one is going to finish behind the safety car, in which case we're going to have a very tight points battle at the end of this race between, well, Jared Thomas and Chris Nunes, former teammates last year. Now Chris Nunes has gone to Formidable Racing.
I think we're just a couple of minutes. We would have been, and maybe another even 60 seconds. We might have got a green.
White flag.
A green-white checker. White flag. So, in fact, yeah, this is going to be the last lap. Final lap for the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5. round 2 event at Daytona International Speedway. A race that has been interrupted by 2 interventions from the MX-5 safety car. And it will be effectively then a victory lap for JTR, for Jared Thomas. JTR Racing, his concern set up with the prize funds that he has received from his years in the championship.
The selfie has been posted at MattRacer76 with the comment, "Welp."
Well, Jared Thomas will take it. There's no asterisk next to it. He fought his way to the front. The scars of battle evident on the right rear quarter panel, round the number panel on the left-hand side. It's been close. It's been close, and contact racing here on the high banks. Nothing untoward. That is the speeds and the closeness is what has to happen here. So Jared Thomas will take it from Gresham Wagner in second. Good haul of points for him. Joey Atanasio will be on the podium in third. Chris Noons, I always think 4th place is the unluckiest spot, isn't it? 1 spot off the podium, and he would have wanted it to go back to green. Then Sam Paley, who may have hoped for more. But what about this? The drive through the pack. 2 long safety cars. What else could he have done if there'd been more racing laps? Celine Roland started in 30th, will finish in the top 6 and bag another handful of points for his championship charge. Then Connor Zilic, he would have hoped for more as well from a pole position start. He actually finishes just ahead of Woody Hyman. Those 2 started on the front row. And that's your top 8.
And Woody Hyman, best ever finish in this championship. He hadn't had a top 10 before today. He started on the outside of the front row, coming home in 8th. That is massive for the JTR driver.
And should mention as well, Joey Atanasio is the best of the rookies on the overall podium. Beats Connor Zilic into 2nd place and Jemison Riley in 3rd in the rookie championship. And that's one we're going to have to keep an eye on for the whole year, with 14 drivers registered into the rookie championship for 2022.
Jared Thomas with a new fire suit for this year gets to spray a little bit of champagne on it and make it smell bad. Remember to wash it this time, Jared. He left his old one apparently, and when they went testing a few weeks ago, didn't smell so great.
It's a good way to break it in on just the 2nd race of the season. Little bit of side-by-side action as they come to the 2nd checkered flag of the season. The Mazda MX-5 Cup then finishes under yellow. And so the result of round 2 of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup unofficially sees Jared Thomas take the win in the silver Mazda from Gresham Wagner in 2nd, and Joey Atanasio, the best of the rookies, is 3rd overall.
Can I just say, for the record, these guys giving us another great performance. Top 5 are separated by less than a second as they cross the line.
That doesn't count, Shea Adam, and you know it, but I like the positivity that you are putting on to that. Not the way that any of them would have wanted to finish. Just looking further down, there's some big names who have not got big points there, notably, of course, the 0-8 of Michael Carter, who ended in the wall to bring out the first of the 2 interventions of the safety car. It's off to the streets of St. Petersburg next on the IndyCar schedule. And if last year is anything to go by, it was as action-packed as anything else. And if you have a bad day on the streets of St. Pete, it can be a very bad one indeed. Small, very small mistakes have huge consequences there, with the concrete seemingly ready to just put its hands out and drag you in, not the open spaces we have here. It's a big thumbs up from our winner, Jared Thomas. This is a great start to his season. He's announcing himself as one of the championship contenders. We're there or thereabouts last year, often around the top 5 or 6. And he'll be delighted with the top step of the podium this weekend.
He was 3rd and 2nd in the races here last year, so now he's ticked off all the boxes and he can tell us which step of the podium feels best. I think I know which one it's going to be.
Absolutely certain You are right. Thanks to Mo Murray, who's been with us in the booth from Mazda Motorsports, and we'll be keeping in touch with more across the rest of the season. Great work from the organisers of the championship at Mazda MX-5 Cup, if you want to follow them on the socials. Gresham Wagner pulling up alongside the winner. He's got his four-ways on. Now, if any of you tuned in late or missed yesterday's race, you can go to racer.com. The full races will be archived there, and that will continue throughout the season with our colleagues over on racer.com as well. Well, Shay, as I said, it's not the way anybody wants to see a race finish, particularly not this one, because it is so entertaining. But the good news is that although we've got a few bent Mazda MX-5s and Fliss Performance, I expect we'll be getting some orders for some spare parts. All of the drivers walked away. No issues for them. They have all gone to be checked out. They'll be back to fight another day. The dents will be hammered out, and we've got a new winner. Yeah, we do, with Jared Thomas coming around the final banking. He'll be driving down in the pit lane to celebrate with his crew. 4 cars now for JTR. Last year, it was a 2-car effort. It grew to 3 part of the way through the season. This year with 4, we had questions. How would it be handled? Well, they've proven already that it is very effective. This season, we've got, what, a month before the next race at St. Petersburg. It is going to be fantastic when we get to the other side of the state. And we don't have to wait too long. It's only a month away. Back at the streets of St. Pete. By the way, I've got an update. It is Gresham Wagner who is the hard charger, because as per the rule book, if you are sent to the back, if you start from the back, you're not eligible for the hard charger award. So Celine Roland passed more cars, but it is Gresham Wagner coming home in second. Yeah, he passed enough people to earn that one. He saw the checkered flag first, so Jared Thomas gets to go to victory lane. What a moment for the JTR owner-driver. It's his dad, Dave, who's the owner. I think he would be quick to tell you, and he'll be waiting for his son to pop off into the victory lane. Into the victory lane at Daytona International Speedway. Now that's a picture for the family album. Yeah. Right there as the car pulls up. It's the less dented side, in fairness, of that car, so that will be the one that'll go on the website. We were talking about the socials earlier on, and Jared Thomas takes the time. He's had a couple of slow laps to just compose himself, unfastens the safety belts, takes the applause of those in the victory lane, and that is his victory. And a good haul of points for the championship as well. Well, a brilliant start to the season again. It was only 1 year ago here on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway that we welcomed the Mazdas back to the IMSA fold. Yesterday's race in really tricky conditions saw some fantastic car control and a dash for the line that saw Tyler Gonzalez take it. Celine Roland with the damage started from the back today, and there was an urgency from the drivers today and a couple of mistakes. Michael Carter hitting the wall very hard indeed, then the fiery incident on the back straight, and under safety car Jared Thomas wins it, and he'll take the big Mo to the streets of St. Petersburg, which will be next on the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 2022 Tour. We'll see you then. For Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. Bye-bye.